sound. Hello. And there we go. Hi, now we're working. I was wondering what that was about. Hi, everyone. I had muted myself. It's one of those days. It's a Thursday, and my Thursdays are usually very busy. And of course, it is very busy. So if you can hear me, there we go. All right, everybody can hear me now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So what I was saying was this is Modern Witch Living. This is the show where I talk about my creative makes, my life as a witch, living a life of magic and grounding that in the real and in reality. And, honestly, lots of plant talk, lots of crochet talk, lots of just kind of fun life stuff in general. So if you're into that kind of thing, then grab a cuppa and your whips, your drawings, whatever it is that you like to do for yourself, and have a seat and let's hang out for a little bit. So today I've got some plans, and my hope really ultimately is to answer some of the questions that I get a lot about when I start talking about like ordering plants online, especially ordering plants online. And we are about at that season where people are buying their bulbs and their seeds, and of course they're getting ready to figure out like where they're planting things. And so I thought I would actually talk to you about where I'm ordering from, and where, if you are into houseplants, where are some safe places to buy from, where I'm buying from, like where I'm planning to buy from anyway. So we're going to go through some websites. We're going to take a look at a couple of different places that are reliable, that I've ordered from in the past. I've never had problems with, be it like them coming in with pests or them coming in with any sort of like weird fungus or any of that kind of stuff. Because I know in the last episode, I talked about how I had ordered from Aroid Market, and like twice, actually I've ordered a couple of times, but twice. And they, through the import process, I would like get just plants that were riddled with fungus and riddled with diseases and things like that. And so, which is really a shame because they have gorgeous, amazing plants. So if you want to avoid all that kind of stuff and you want to get a house plant that is safe, and that comes from a good place, because that's the other thing that we'll talk a little bit about today is like when you go to buy a plant at like Lowe's or at Walmart or at like a Kroger, you may actually be getting a plant that is tied to some not so great stuff when it comes to like the like politics actually. So we'll get into a little bit about that later on. And then I will talk to you about ultimately like, I'm sorry, I'm catching comments as they're coming in. And then I will talk to you about some of the stress management stuff that came up last year, some books, some more whips, and we're going to go through my mail, because I got a box from Llewellyn with some really good stuff. So get comfy, because it's going to be a day. So I actually thought I would start off with talking to you about a book that was in this box, but I had gotten some copies of it and I'd shared with everybody online, and that is Houseplant Horticulture. This is my new book that is coming out in April. I'm super freaking excited about it. It's all of my plant stuff put into one like book, and I cannot tell you how much joy this brings me to actually be able to write it. And I would say out of all of the projects that I've written, this was the easiest to write. This was the one that I sat down and it just kind of bleh. And I was shocked and surprised, and it kind of like renewed my faith in writing. It was after some of the other stuff that I've written, so I'm kind of excited. But yeah, it's really beautiful, and if you haven't seen, so it's hardback with these really beautiful embossed cover. And you open it up, it has this really beautiful, I forget what this is called. If you know what this is called, this fancy stuff, you let me know in the comments, please. But yeah, it is just beautiful. And the really amazing thing, let me find a good example. Here's an example. Cielo Thompson, who is known for all kinds of Oracle decks, she's phenomenal artist in general, but she did the artwork for it. So really pretty. The cover image was done by Kevin, I can't remember his last name, but he's the guy that does all my covers for all my books. I kind of insist that he does my covers because I really like it. And that was something that Fio Gade Parma told me, because he does Fio's covers. And so he's like, no, or they're like, hey, you really like this. You like this person, started working with them. And I just love all the covers they do. Let me find it there's one image in here that's just, here it is. So here we go. So this is like a lighting chart. So one of the things that we talk a lot about when it comes to like houseplants is, hey, what exactly does indirect light mean, and high indirect light and that kind of a thing. So there's a whole explanation of all of this kind of stuff in here, and I got to tell you, it's just really pretty. I have this obsession with making sure that the projects that I come out with are as colorful as possible, are as artistic as possible. And that isn't always super easy because it can hike up a price. It can do all kinds. It can make the whole process take twice as long. Like, it can be a whole thing. So when I set out to write a book, I try to keep that in mind. And then I try to like go to Llewellyn and say, how can we push this as far as possible? And a lot of the times it means I have to do the artwork, or I have to be the one that goes above and beyond in the creative process to bring things to them so they can make those things come to life in print. So this is one of those things where it was so easy. I just sent them my idea and I said, this is what I want. And they got the manuscript. And then they had a couple artists who they'd worked with. And they said, what do you think about C.L.O. Thompson? And I was like, hell yeah. Also because I love watercolor. Like I love the look of watercolor. I paint watercolor when I get to. But that's one of the things that I really enjoy is watercolor. So to have watercolor images of some of these plants, let's see if I can find a good example. It's still crispy. The book's still very crispy. It hasn't really been open. But when I had the chance to have watercolor, I was like, well, that's a given, because there are just watercolor's pretty. It lends to the idea of spirituality, I think, very easily. Yeah. So here's an orchid. Isn't it just, yeah. So it is, just like with the books in the Modern Witch series, this is definitely something that is more than just a text, and it's all original. Like, there's a lot of original stuff in there, including a whole new divination system that I got to present at the International Divination event last year, which was really exciting. And it's called Viriomancy. And that's in here too. And that's doing divination with the variegation on leaves. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, it's available now for pre-order, and that means that you will probably get it. Let me tell you how this works, just so everybody knows. This isn't a Harry Potter book, right? So the fact that, because I've had this experience multiple times now, so the fact that this is already in the warehouse and all of the first printing is already there waiting to go, means that if you do a pre-order now, rather, you're probably going to get it earlier than Barnes and Noble will release it. Okay, and the reason for that is that usually once stock arrives at a place, they just ship it right out. So as soon as they possibly can. So as soon as my publisher releases it, it'll go to the warehouses, and then they'll start distributing it more than likely. And that usually happens. So I can't tell you, like when my first book came out, I was so devastated because it actually ended up dropping like almost 2 weeks early. And I had all these plans and like all of this stuff. And then it was like out, and I was like, how is that possible? And then I got a whole like, well, you're not exactly J.K. Rowling. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So there aren't people who are going to be selling bootleg copies of this online, kind of a thing, right? So anyway, you can pre-order now. You can get it through Amazon. You can get it through my website. If you get it through my website, you can get, I have plant kits and all kinds of cool stuff. If you want a rare plant to go along with your rare magic book, take care of it. I got you. You can also go to, more importantly, and most importantly, your local magic store, your local metaphysical shop, and ask for it by name and just say, hey, Devin Hunter has this new book out. Can you please get a copy? And they'll order it for you because they like to sell you stuff. So houseplant horticulture. Anyway, expect a lot of that. And if you are following me online, you've already seen my memes. I have so many more to go. I've been busy boy. So anyway, that is happening now. Also, I am horrible at certain parts of my job, which is all of the plugging and the self-promotion and all that stuff. Horticulture, the event, is now, you can buy tickets for it. And so please go to horticulture.com. You can get tickets. Usually we do a 2-day event. This year we smushed horticulture with the official Witches Sabbath into one like big magical expo kind of a thing. And it, for a lot of reasons, mostly the release schedule for things is just like really tight this year. So we had to push things back twice. But so anyway, the data's set. We're ready to go. We've got Aaron Murphy Hiscock, who's going to be there presenting. We've got the amazing Amy Blackthorne. We've got Kobe Michael. And then you've got me. And in addition, one of the things that I'm going to do, because I feel kind of bad because it isn't a 2-day event this year, I'm going to include the houseplant horticulture masterclass that I'm working on right now in that ticket. So if you get it, if you do that, you will also get this huge giant masterclass for free that will take you through everything from how to raise different types of plants for magic to the plants that are easier to deal with. I mean, all of it. It's like everything I couldn't really dive into so much in the book. It's in there. Deeper dives about what I'm talking about in the book. It's all going to be in there, and it comes with a bunch of extra downloads too. So that's the cool thing. So yeah, so it's pretty cool. You definitely want to do it. I can tell you that the price of that masterclass is more than the price of the ticket for the day event. And if you come, then you get to go to the VIP event at the end of the day, which is all about houseplant horticulture, and you get to have a ticket where we can talk and interact, and you'll be in the chat room. Anyway, busy doing lots of stuff. That's life. So yeah, so it's been a very interesting week. I have been working on my big Lenny Kravitz scarf, so that's definitely happening. I went to Michael's and I grabbed the dye, like the special dye for it, because it's a synthetic, so I can't just like throw some regular red on it. So I got the dye, and it is red. It is by red, but it's just a special type of red. So I got the dye, and I got it home, and then I'm probably, I want to say 2/3 of the way done with the scarf. I've got like a week. I got less than a week to finish it before we go. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do splashes and do like a tie-dye kind of thing. But then last night when I was looking at it, I was like, well, maybe I like the simplicity in a weird way. I like the simplicity of it. And if you know me, I am not a simple person. I'm not like into simple lines and things like that. But I just think like the thing that's really flashy about it is its size. So maybe I might not, maybe I might not do that. Anyway, let's see who's joining us so far, because there are lots and lots of people. Wow, everybody, thank you so much for being here for this new show. I really do love hanging out with everybody. And, in my life, I don't get to hang out with people all the time because usually I'm busy. So this is a great excuse for me to tune in to some of my friends. We've got Jared and I have known each other for a very, very long time. We used to go to an event, at the same event called Between the Worlds, and that's where I met Jared. Jared and I we've known each other since we were little gay witchlings. I don't know. So if you are in the Modern Witch official Facebook group, you have to give access to read your name because it is a private group. So make sure you do that. There's information on the top of the post about how to do that. That way we can see you. We've got the amazing Garrett Irons. Hello, Garrett. Garrett is writing some really cool stuff right now, and I'm very excited. He's been posting little driplets of his progress, and it's really cool. So keep the writing up. It is not easy to write a book, I know. So any progress you make towards that, I think, is amazing, and I'm really proud of you. I really truly am. I've been watching you do this for months and months and months and months and months now, and I think taking the dive is just really impressive. So I can't wait to read it. We've got Michelle. So Michelle Welch. Michelle is my friend in Texas who I've only gotten to meet in person once, but I adore Michelle. Michelle's great. Michelle owns a couple of shops called Soultopia, and they're really amazing. Michelle also runs a lot of events. So Michelle and her husband Roger are probably the faces behind some of your favorite events, and you don't even know it. So hi, Michelle. Thanks for coming and joining us tonight. Oh, and also a writer, also an author, published author. I think has a couple of books out. I want to say 3. Could I be wrong? Michelle, let me know if I'm wrong. But just a light to behold, a joy. We've got Adam Conjure. And Adam, thanks for coming and joining. Adam is another person who I know via the internets. Really supportive, nice, sweet soul. And I will tell you, your posts about the magic that you do are always really, really inspiring. So thanks for posting pictures, and thanks for showing off how beautiful the craft can really be. Okay. We've got Kristen. Hi, Kristen. Thanks for joining us. We got Blue Knight. Blue Knight and I, along with Blue Knight's partner, is going to be on Saturday. I'm probably jumbling up the whole terminology here, but on Saturday we're going to be doing Drunken Divination, and I have links posted on all of my socials, and I will be inebriated. So I'm going to have my whiskey, and it's going to be a whole thing. So we'll see how this goes, but definitely join us on Saturday night. That would be really fun. Okay, just all kinds of goodness. Hello, Goatfish. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. Oh, Jay Bear. Jay and I just adore Jay. If you don't know Jay, you absolutely should. And especially follow on the internets. I believe the Insta is the way to go. But Jay is a big sweetheart and has been a big supporter of mine for a long time. And I just love and adore Jay. And I send Jay a lot of my Dragon Horde crystals. Like when I break into the Horde, Jay ends up with some of the really pretty ones. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. We got Ben Stimson. We've got the amazing Ben Stimson, who is one of this quarter's bestsellers for his new book, which is really, really Ancestral Whispers. Am I saying that right? And congratulations on that. That's big. That's big. Hello, Morgan. Thanks for being here. All right, everybody. So, okay. So today, again, I thought we would go through some of the places that I like to shop at. And then we would go through my mail. I love saying we go through my mail on the show because it's kind of funny, but that's literally what we're doing. Every time you do like a haul or somebody is going through one of those videos, we're going through their mail. So let's just call it what it is. Okay. All right. So let's get started. All right. So we're just starting off here on the Modern Witch website just to start everything. And of course, we've got our shows and all of that good stuff. But let's dive into the world of plants. Okay. So one of my favorite places to order from is called Steve's Leaves. And if you don't know who Steve's Leaves is, they are a year-round greenhouse. So you can order plants like in the middle of winter. They will ship them to you, and they have really good practices when it comes to winter shipping. So this is a big problem with buying plants in the middle of winter or in the middle of summer when there are extreme temperature fluctuate. Like if it's too cold or if it's too hot, your plants are probably not going to have a good time in transit. And the reason for this is obviously there are no unless you're, well, it's not true because I have had to order, I think it was a UPS through UPS delivery where it was actually temperature controlled, which was like a whole thing, and it was extra pricey, but it happens. And so the idea essentially is that they have to, when in the middle of winter, they have to put extra insulation, and it's usually like a special type of insulation that's called a heat shield. And they have to wrap your plant in that and then put it in the box, or they wrap the box up with it, depending on who they are. And then from there, usually there's like a heat pack. So there's those little toasty, they look like tea bags that are filled with sand, and you shake them up and you get them real nice and warm. And then you put them in your pockets in wintertime. I forget what those called, but that's basically what we use to transport plants and animals. So like if you buy fish and things like that, that's what they're packed in. So it keeps the temperature up, and it gets warm, but it doesn't get terribly warm. Although I have heard of instances where people get stuff in the middle of the winter and then their stuff is melted because it actually did get too hot. But that's super rare. And if you go with the right type of company, then they're going to take care of you. They're going to make sure that you have what you need and you've been reimbursed and taken care of, right? So Steve's Leaves is one of these companies that has great practices. They have great shipping procedures, and I've always gotten plants that are healthy. I've always gotten plants that are big and bushy, and I've never had any problems. So, all right, so let's take a look at a couple of the amazing things that happen over here at Steve's Leaves. So I actually took, unlike the other companies that we're going to look at here in a minute, these are I have a couple of tabs already open. So they're really great. Like I said, they've got this shipping. If you are going to order in winter, make sure that you spring for this winter shipping assurance. I like they're calling it assurance. That's a big deal. So make sure you do that, especially if you've never ordered from the company before. All right. So the first philodendron. So I said I would talk about some of my favorite philodendrons. It's actually philodendron, but it's one of my favorite philodendrons is the Brantianum, and the Brantianum is gorgeous. It has these beautiful kind of silver splash leaves, and it's known for this. It actually is capable of getting quite large. So the ones that we see in the store are going to be teeny tiny. They're probably going to be maybe 3 inches long at like leaf to leaf or leaf tip to leaf tip. And they're freaking gorgeous. they also tend to be a little fussy. So this is, I would say, like if you are new to houseplants, probably don't want to start with the Brantianum. I expected them to be as easy to grow as my other philos, and they were not. And so I think I've had my Brantianum, I think I've killed 2 of them, honestly, in the last 7 years, probably. And the one I have now, I have had on and off of life support for I don't know, 8 months, 6 to 8 months. So it's fine now, like it's bouncing back, but I really lost a lot of foliage and it just doesn't want to live here. It's like a whole thing. So I had to put it probably in a terrarium, but in the right conditions, these leaves can get up to like the size of your torso, and they are that big and beautiful. And of course, you know, as a philodendron matures, its leaves go from that classic heart shape like we have here to an elongated, more like a spade kind of shape. And you really get that with the Brantianum. But here's this baby, and I would tell you, let's see, $16.99 is a really good price for a Brantianum, and they get bushy. They're like a philodendron, a heart-shaped philodendron. They get really bushy, or also pothos. They grow a lot like a pothos. Okay. So the philodendron arabescens, this is the red emerald. This is a really super duper easy philodendron to grow. It also happens to be the parent species to a lot of the like super big deal variegated spinoffs and hybrids and things like that. This plant is super stable. It takes a lot of damage very easily, a lot of neglect very easily, and it happens to grow just virulently. Like it just will go nuts if it has the right conditions. So a lot of the times, if you get like a variegated philodendron, if it just says variegated philodendron, it's probably an arabescens variety, and it probably sprang forth from this guy. And so they have them here $14.99. That's a good price for this too. And yeah, really beautiful plant. Okay, so this is a hybrid variety of the arabescens, and this is the pink princess. This one in specific they refer to as a black cherry, and this is the one that I grow. And the reason why it's called a black cherry, obviously, is because these leaves I was talking about it last week. These leaves get so dark that as a result, they end up looking black. And if you get the right amount of light coming to them, then you get this really gorgeous pink, and that just kind of sets things off in a really incredible way. These are really easy to grow. However, in general, they don't stay bushy. Like philodendrons don't stay bushy. You have to propagate them and plant multiple cuttings in a pot in order to get a really bushy pot of philodendrons because of the way that this particular variety climbs. So the first one, the Brantianum, they stay small. I mean, unless they get something to climb up on, they'll stay pretty small and they'll just kind of climb around and do their thing. These guys don't do that. They're upright philodendrons, and so they self-stabilize as they grow, whereas something like the Brantianum needs something to climb onto. And so you should still stake these. You should still put these up on a pole, because the more stable that that stem is, the bigger the leaves will be. And so the part of what makes like the size of a leaf is where that weight distribution is with the plant. So if it's stable, it will keep putting off really big leaves. But the minute it starts to tip, or if it starts to, it's smart. Plants are smart, and the philodendron is super smart. But it'll know, and it'll adjust the leaf size. So the following leaves will either be smaller, or they'll grow in a certain direction to kind of push the weight over. It's a really cool thing to see. But I always warn people that if you want a really bushy pot of something, you're going to need multiple plants. You're going to need multiple cuttings. The good news is philodendrons propagate super easy, so it's not too hard. But this is just a beautiful example of that gorgeous philodendron. So this is the philodendron gloriosum. We're going to see a couple other varieties of this probably later on. This one is a pain in the ass, and the reason why, and it's glorious, it's gorgeous, but the reason why it's a pain in the ass is that it is a crawler, and they get huge. These leaves will get twice the size of my body easily. Like they can get quite large. I would say like a normal medium size philodendron gloriosum is probably about the size of my chest leaf span. And then there's species that get like massive, but the thing with this is that it has this classic heart leaf shape, and it has a suede-y texture that is to die for. So it's like a pillow. It looks like a big pillow, and it's kind of amazing. These get confused a lot online with colocaceas and alocasias, which we'll talk about because that's actually my jam right now, and that's what I'm in the market for. So when we're looking at some websites later on, I'll be focusing more on elephant ears. But this is a philodendron that looks like an elephant ear. And they're gorgeous. They are the reason why I say that they're pains in the ass is that they size up real quick. So while they're sizing up, they push there's a stem out, and then they're growing out of their pot in no time, or they're pushing up against the pot and they get unhappy because they can't go anywhere basically. So they can be a little pain in the ass. However, if you want big voluptuous foliage, this is one of the plants to check out. They are prone to spider mites. So I will tell you, I mean, any of the velvety kind of suede plants, they're all going to be really prone to spider mites. And so beautiful, amazing, but you might want to consider that. So here's a picture. So you can see how they crawl and then they shoot out a stem or a petiole, right? Okay, so Philodendron gloriosum. I would say 79, and I love my Steve's leaves, but 79.99 is a little pricey for a gloriosum, although these are pretty good size. So a lot of the times, price is going to be dependent on size of the plant, and these are probably a pretty damn good size. But for the most part, you can get a gloriosum for like $20 on eBay or Etsy even. This is the world famous Philodendron verrucosum. So this is one of the most beautiful leaves that Mother Nature has given us. And this particular species has a lot of different varieties. And sometimes we'll get varieties where there's red. I don't know if you can kind of see, there's back through here, there's this red on the back of the leaf, which causes that insane, gorgeous color on the front. But there are varieties where, like the El Chaco red, where that is very, very present. And when the leaf pops out, it's like blood red, and then it fades to this really trippy color that you see here. This was one of my first philodendrons that I went for. I freaking love them. They have like a little bit of fuzziness on the petiole, which you can kind of barely see here. You can see where my mouse is. Is there a closer? Let me see. Yeah. So there's these petioles here get a little fuzzy, which is fun to play with, but you end up with these extreme shifts in the color per leaf. So I definitely love them. They're easy to propagate. They love to propagate, which is great because they size up very quickly. So I think in a matter of 5 months, I had started off with just one leaf cutting, and I think in 5 months it had grown to the ceiling. Like it was pretty intense, and I just started to have to cut them back. Again, prone to spider mites. So that was something that I struggled with these guys, and I just ended up giving up on them because my house is so dry that spider mites are like a constant problem with a plant like this. So I have pretty much given up. I have a cousin of theirs that I grow in my bathroom that is I'm watching, and I've got a lot of good stuff in the soil to make sure that it doesn't get spider mites. But this species, this kind of family of philodendrons are prone to that stuff. So be really aware of that. So they would say on a scale of 1 to 10 difficulty level, probably an 8. It was 7 to 8. And it really has to do with humidity and keeping pests off of it. But beautiful, beautiful. I ended up just giving them all away or selling them, and that was how that happened. The Philodendron squamophyrum is amazing. It has this is a really good example, has this fuzzy petiole. So this freaks people out. And it's, I mean, it has a pretty normal kind of leaf shape for a philodendron. So this is a very normal leaf shape for a philodendron. But it's kind of a dragony kind of shape here. But the big thing for the squamophyrum is this fuzzy petiole, and it isn't actually fuzzy. It feels, if they get dry, they feel fuzzy, but it actually feels, it's different. It's like a squishy scrubby. It's kind of like a squishy scrubby almost. But that is there for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is that there's something on a plant called extrafloral nectaries, which are these little tiny pores that develop, and this nectar will come out of it, and it comes out of the leaves and can come out of the stem. It just kind of depends on the plant. And those are there to attract like ants. And the reason being that if ants are crawling all over the plant, then pests and other bugs won't be able to live there. So it's actually a natural defense for the plant. But it kind of squeaks people out, and I understand, but I think it's really pretty. So I'm a big fan of the squamophyllums. I gave Chaz one. He's got it in his office, and it's just a really beautiful, fun plant. And again, they size up pretty quickly if you give them what they need. But this fuzziness is a really fun thing that you don't get on a lot of houseplants, and it's definitely a conversation starter. So yeah. Let's see here. They had them online for $50. That's a pretty good price for a size about yay big. Although I would say you can probably get them for maybe half that now. Okay, so this is a pretty famous one. So this is not a pothos. We will get to pothos. There's a lot of plants that look like pothos that aren't actually pothos. This is a philodendron, whereas a pothos is not a philodendron technically. But yeah, this is a pothos hederaceum, and it's known specifically for this striping here. And this one's silver stripe, and why it's called a silver stripe is that it has this white vein of variegation that goes down the center. There's a cream stripe which does that, which I have up in my propagation station right now. These went nuts last year, probably 2 years ago. Last 2 years, people have been spending an obscene amount of money collecting all of the different varieties of the hederaceum, and it's kind of interesting. Because there are a lot of varieties, but often the difference in variety is like how thick this stripe right here is, and that's it. And people will pay $300 for it. I'm like, no, ma'am, that's not my thing. The big variety that everyone really freaks out, and it's now more common, but it was very expensive. It was very hard to find. Was the Gabby? So the philodendron Gabby or Gabrielle was just ridiculously priced, and it to me wasn't really that fancy. I still got it. And because everyone was talking about it, and I said, okay. And I got it. I did it in a trade, and I wasn't impressed at the end of the day. Anyway, so these are there. They get really fun. They get bushy and they trail. So you can see this stem right here will fall as soon as it gets heavy enough, and then it'll start to trail out and do its thing. But these are really pretty, and they're really easy to take care of. $39.99, way too pricey for that. These are sold out. I don't know how old these listings are, to be honest with you, but you can find this at any Home Depot. Usually they've got a variety of this. All right, so I really love Steve's Leaves. Again, you should definitely check them out. They have every Friday they do a restock, and those restocks go super quick. They are particularly good. Let me see if I can pull one up here real quick. They are particularly good with let's see here, begonias. I get really good begonias from here. Very healthy, stable begonias from here. So if you are a begonia person, especially if you want some of those varieties that are often only sold for like terrariums, which terrarium begonias are super pricey usually, this is a company to check out because they have mature versions of those plants that, again, they arrive healthy, and you can get away with a lot of it. Let me show you this. This is one of my favorite begonias. This is the Melanobulata, which is very similar to the Begonia ferox, and they have these black, spiky beautifulness. This is one that I killed because of temperature. So I left. I had to go away, and I came back, and the temperature in my terrariums had gotten above. It was like 90 degrees, and 85 is the cutoff for this. So this is one of those you have to have a really special condition environment for, but it is gorgeous, and everyone loves to talk about it. I mean, because it looks like something from an alien planet, right? Yeah. Okay, let me check in with everybody. Hello, how are we doing? Okay, yeah. So there's definitely okay. I'm glad you said that, Blue Knight, about the prices, because the prices aren't too bad, but it kind of depends, right? Okay, yeah. Yeah, so let's talk about remind me before we're done tonight, and we'll talk about keeping your cats from eating your plants, because there's absolutely ways to do it. We have 4 cats in the house, not a problem. So there's only one problem with one cat, and he does it literally to get my attention, and it's a thing. But otherwise, we're good to go. Okay, so let's take a look. The other company. There's two more companies, maybe three, that I want to talk with you about today. The next one is Wellspring Gardens. So this is a company out of Florida. And I will say, I just was looking at their prices. Their prices have gone up from what I ordered last year. And I don't know if that is because we are at that weird time of year where there aren't a lot of fresh babies and there aren't a lot of like stock and calicaceous, especially in elephant ears. And so chances are that if you wait 2 months, probably prices will drop. But we'll talk about which ones I definitely noticed a big jump in, because I am constantly ordering them and giving them away to people. But yeah, so Wellspring Garden, they are great. The shipping is interesting. I will say, if you get like a bunch of baby starter plants, I've a couple of times have gotten them, like they take 2 big boxes and then kind of tape them together to make the whole thing work. It's fine. One time the box arrived and it was broken in half. I wasn't super happy about that, but they replaced things and took care of it right away, so it wasn't a problem. Okay, so the big thing is with Wellspring Gardens is they are known for starter plants. This is the big thing. So when you go shopping, you often do not get starter plants. You often get plants that are in kind of they've been around for at least a year or two, and before they. Hopefully, sometimes 6 months, depends on what it is. It depends on really honestly what it is. But with houseplants, usually they've been around for about a year at least. And so you get something that's really established. With starter plants, that's not the case. They're either coming from tissue cultures or they're coming from seed or propagations. And they're still sensitive, right? They're still not going to be handling big fluctuations and environmental stuff like super easy. But the one that I write about a lot in my book is this. This is the elephant ear, the Calocasia esculenta mojito. And the Calocasia esculenta, which I think we'll find a variety of here in a second, to show you, is just the basic leaf. So if you just think of this leaf as just like a solid green, that's the esculenta, which is very, very close to the elephant ears. In fact, it is the same thing as the elephant ears that that make taro, like taro the vegetable, not taro the cards, but taro the vegetable, or the thing that you eat. This is it. So it comes from this plant. And check the varieties, because some of the varieties I think aren't safe to eat, but I know that like the big jumbo elephant ears are, and that's a Calocasia esculenta. So this particular variety has this speckling that happens, and it's just really pretty. And each of the leaves comes with this extreme depth. And this particular, so they call it a mojito. That's the variegation, is mojito. And there's other plants that are called mojitos based on this particular pattern. Another name for this was army, and so that was a thing that you'll hear. And in other plants, the same variegation will be referred to as army. So you get this really beautiful dark green, and then this lime green. And when I talk about doing divination with plants, a big part of what makes the system work really well is you ask the plant to retrieve an answer for you, and then you wait for the leaf to pop up and give you the response. So it's not like instant divination. It definitely takes a minute. But with the Calocaceas, they put off new leaves rapidly, especially once they're established. So you can get sometimes 2 and 3 leaves a week, depending on how established your plant is. So the divination doesn't necessarily have to take a whole lot of time. The thing with all Calocaceas, which are different from Alocaceas and different from Caladiums, even though they all look alike. But the thing with Calocaceas are that their leaves are like almost paper thin, and they do have kind of a suede texture, but it's softer than suede, but it's a similar kind of thing going on. And again, really susceptible to things like spider mites, and anything that's edible by humans is edible by bugs. Remember that, right? And so this is one of those things where you definitely have to make sure you're spraying it with something like Captain Jack's every once in a while. or you're using systemic treatment. I use systemic treatment for mine because I don't even want to mess with it, which is basically a treatment that I add to my substrate so that it's constantly getting medicine, basically, to make it impalatable to bugs. So yeah. But these are just freaking gorgeous. Oh, here's a good example. Yeah, so Wellspring Gardens, here you go. So you see how that your plant arrives in this little box and this little starter sleeve, basically, and one little plant can fit in your mailbox. So it's a wonderful way to build up your stock and to do it pretty quickly. And they, if I remember correctly, they often do like free shipping stuff, and so just everything ships free. So remember that. So you're paying $24 for the plant, but you're getting shipping for free, which that makes sense why the prices would be a little more expensive this year. Because last year, I think in the past I had paid for pricing. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's go back. Let's see here. So this is a big favorite of mine. I've got a bunch of these. They are dormant. Mine are dormant right now because of the way I did not put them on heat pads like I did my other ones. But so this is one of the ones that I have right now that is dormant, and it's called the reticulata because it has this beautiful patterning here. That's like kind of a veiny beautifulness, and you'll see a reticulation on a couple of like this type of pattern on a couple of other species of plants as well. But it's something that is special and unique, and it provides this, like in person, it looks like something from the Matrix. Like it's a very unique leaf, and then it has like a spotted striped stem. You can kind of, there it is. It's a good example. Has a spotted straight stem that is just stunning. So when I think of like elegance, when I think of plants that speak of elegance, this is up on the top of my list. The Alocasia zebrina reticulata, this particular variety with the reticulated leaves, is really stunning. A regular Alocasia zebrina is stunning as well. Like, don't get me wrong, it just doesn't have those pretty lines on top. But another one that's really good to read, divination. And what I have been using are like basically treating it like a finger, like palm reading for the reticulata because of the way that these markings work. Really beautiful plant. Okay. Highly recommend it. And on a scale of like 1 to 10 of like difficulty to grow, I would say that the zebrina is probably a 5. It's a pretty easy one. So here's the Alocasia frydek. It's not technically its name. This is the name that it kind of adopted over the years. I can't remember off the top of my head what this particular species is called, but the name frydek stuck because the variegated version of this, which I have a couple of them, but the variegated version of this with white variegation on the leaves was kind of almost like trademarked kind of a deal by a guy named Frydek. And so that's where the name frydek comes from. But because it's way easier to say than its actual name, and it just became the common name for it. So this is the Alocasia frydek now, and it is really beautiful. It is another one of those plants that when I think of elegance, I think of this, because these leaves get huge and they're suede-y, and they've got that perfect classic like leaf shape. I mean, just look at this, like the white veins going down. They're beautiful. They're absolutely stunning. They are one of these plants that you need to really treat, right? You need to make sure you're taking care of. But right now, $16.99 I think is an insanely good price for free shipping on a plant like this. So I would definitely highly recommend. And they just get amazing. They are beautiful, beautiful babies. I have posted pictures. I will post some more pictures of them. This is a really fun one. This is called the Alocasia stingray. And let me see if I can find a really good example. There we go. So it's called a stingray because it looks like a stingray. So it has this heart shape that has this really elongated tip there on the leaf. And these are super stunning. Again, bugs. And so right now I have 3 of them in the same pot, and they are living in my bathroom under a grow light because I cannot wait for winter to be over so I can put them outside. Because they are bug magnets, and if they're outside, other bugs come along and eat the bugs, so it's not a problem. But if they're inside, it's a thing. So these are amazing. This is a bougie level 20 if you can grow these indoors, and they are definitely a centerpiece kind of thing. They look like stingrays. Here's a good example. They look like stingrays floating through the water or swimming through the water. And if you get a big bush of them, it's kind of one of the most beautiful things in the world. Stunning, stunning, stunning alocasia. But whew, man, do you have problems with bugs and these guys? Let me show you just a couple more here. And there's a particular one. So we're seeing these black ones, and black colocasia are really fun to grow. Some of them are blacker than others. Some of them are really go down. And what makes the black is it's either a super ridiculously dark green, or it is dark green and red. And that the color combination of the two brings out this really stunning color. But when you get them, of course, they don't look like that. They've got the like in here, you can see this one has a reddish hue to it as a baby. Really cute plants. They are super fun. But again, you got to make sure you're taking care of them from bugs and things like that. There is, where's the big, oh, they have pages and pages and pages of colocasias. So this is the one I recommend. So if you're looking for an actual black leaf, this is the one I recommend. This is the black coral, and it is on the green side. So it isn't red and green or green with red overlay. It is just solid green, and it's a really deep, rich green. This is the one that I have the coral. I've got a, if it was black and it was a colocasia at one point, I just bought them all. I bought them all. And this one survived the easiest. This one had the easiest time. In fact, it's overwintering right now outside without being in the greenhouse, and it's putting off new leaves, and it's 35 degrees. Take that for what it is. So they're really hardy. They can handle things that others can't. I will tell you my horror story real quick. So these get big and beautiful. Look at that leaf. That is amazing. And that's a fresh leaf. That's a brand new leaf. As they, we call them harden off, they will get darker. So let me tell you the story. So I had this beautiful plant growing in my office, and then I felt guilty because it was beautiful outside, and I thought, I'm going to take you out. So I took it outside and I put it in my pond, because these are actually marginal plants. So one of the things with raising colocasias in general is you actually want to kind of sit them in water. And think of them as like plants that grow where on the banks of rivers and lakes and things like that. So they don't want to be completely submerged in water, but they want like underneath the first inch of the soil, like of where their roots like start, they want water. They want a lot of water under that, right? So we call it giving them wet legs. So these guys like wet legs. So I thought, well, hell, I'll put them in my big fish pond, which has got to be full of good nutrients for it, and it'll love it. And it did. It adored it out there and put off this big giant leaf like I'd never seen before. And then the sun shifted. And because it is a black plant, and I live in California where it gets hella hot and the sun pelts down on us like we're in the desert, it fried. And I mean fried. It looked like, there's a scene, if you don't know, if you watch if you watch weird action movies like I do, but I'm a big Riddick fan. And there's this scene where a guy walks through a desert storm and he just disintegrates. And that's what happened to my plant. My poor plant was desiccated. And it just broke my heart. But it was this gorgeous, huge specimen that I'd raised from a tiny little plant that I got from this company. And it just did great. So I highly recommend this particular species if you want a black leaf. And you can go online and you can type in the black coral, and you can see some really good examples of the color depth that's possible. Let's see. This is the Hilo Beauty. This often gets confused with a caladium called the Caladium frog in a blender. And they often will be sold as the wrong plant side by side because they're so hard to kind of make out. And I'll show you an example of that because I'm sure I can find one. I have a big one growing right next to me, but it's a really fun one. It's really pretty. It puts off this strange variegation that again changes. So this one, the variegation in this reminds me of Rorschach's, like a Rorschach test. And they all look like this, where it's this weird kind of inky blob kind of cool thing going on. Big fan. So any of those things, any of these can be worked with for divination because they have that beautiful variegation. And I'm going to speed through here because I want to show you specific plants. So the Velvet Elvis is, or the Mycorrhiza, The Velvet Elvis Micro, same thing. This is basically, it's a small fry deck. It's the same thing. If you want one that isn't going to get big, you can go with one like something like that, and they'll stay relatively petite compared to some of those other species. Okay, so then we get into some of my favorite ones. So this is the Alocasia sinuata. So we've been talking about colocaceas, which are those big, we refer to them as elephant ears. The sister species, the sister plant variety is the Alocasia. And the Alocaceas have thicker leaves. They have the big difference between the leaves is that an Alocacia's heart-shaped leaf will kind of go down. It'll point down, whereas an Alocasia, the tip of the leaf usually points out or points up, as you can see here. And it depends on the lighting and things like that, but they reach up towards the light, whereas the colocasia don't as much, because they are stronger leaves. Like they can pump more liquids and things through these leaves. They are gorgeous. These are my dragon scales that you see in all the photos and everything. This is their alocasias. And so this is the quilted dream. They get huge and they have this beautiful color variation, which you can see here in the mature, where you've got the dark green and the light green. And again, they get really big. They call them the quilted dream because they billow as they get bigger. Like these soft spots in between look like a pillow, where the veins are stitches, and the rest of the leaf is the material. It's really gorgeous plant. And they stay pretty big. Actually, I will say the quilted dreams can get pretty massive. This is one of my favorites. So this is the Chanterary. Chanterary, because there's no extra I. Okay, I have killed 2 of these because they need massive amounts of humidity. So these are ones that you have to keep a humidifier next to if you want to raise them in your house. But they put off some of the most beautiful leaves. I mean, just the shape and the texture and all of it are just really sexy. And if you can see here, the V goes down further in the leaf or in the septum. So that's something to note as well. And there are varieties of this bugger that come in all different colors. So there's a black variety. It's called something else. It's called a panther. And there are variegated varieties that are just really pretty. The next, where's my scalp? I'm looking for a very particular one. Here we go. All right, so this is a dragon's breath. These are very fun. They stay spade-like. So this is a mature plant right here, and they stay small and spade-like, and they are super duper fun to grow. And they clump very quickly. So it's a fun one if you want a bushy plant. I would say definitely stick with something like that. And then let's see if I can do one more here. I can't believe you guys are watching me just go through plants and talk about plants. It's hilarious, because nobody in my life wants to do this. So you guys are my new best friends. Let's take a look at these guys. So these are the greenhouse of dragons. This is funny. What's going on here? I might have to go get me some of this. Okay, so you're getting a set of plants here. So there's the dragon scale. That's the one I grow everywhere. I have variegated dragons. I have golden variegated dragon scales. And I will do a tour and I'll show you all the plants one day. In the next month, I'll show you all the plants. But the very fun to grow, very fun to grow, and they tend to be a little easier to grow compared to some of the other alocasia, which is super fun. The silver dragons are my favorite. They, as far as like, if it's not a regular dragon, because the regular dragon color variation is just too awesome to like not be down for. But the silver variety, which has a bluer, it's like a lightish blue kind of tint to it, which you see right there, is also beautiful and just a stunning plant. The golden dragons their leaves are not as thick, and it's misleading to call it a dragon because you kind of think of it as a dragon scale. It's not a dragon scale, not in the way that the 2 on the side are. So I'm not a super big fan of the golden dragon. I didn't think it was as dragony and feeling as these others. So that's what I had to say about that. But I'd also be careful because that leaf is definitely not going to be one that is going to be resistant to bad things like bugs. Okay, so once again, this was Wellspring Gardens. I really like them. I've gotten everything from I got a couple banana plants here. Actually, let's take a look at bananas real quick. So I can explain to you why I love them. No, but no, banana plants are really fun and they're surprisingly hardy. Like this is the thing that just shocks me. We were just in Ohio last year and people were growing banana plants in their front yard. And I was like, what is happening? And it just wasn't a problem. But you get some really gorgeous colors with bananas. So these are something that you could plant like on a hedge or in a pot and bring it into your house. And then you get something big for inexpensive, because bananas are not really hard to take care of, and they're not hard to replace unless it's like a super rare run. But you get some of the most beautiful colors in bananas, and most of them fruit. Not all of it. It has to be a Musa. See this Musa, this variety here. These are the bananas that we eat. And so it has to be one of those, because not all bananas fruit bananas that we know them. And then you've got this. Here's a Zebrino, or here's a Zebrino Rojo. And see, it's beautiful. So if you're into foliage and you want something that's big and going to take up space, banana. And you know, they like as much light as possible, but a lot of banana species come from the bottom of a forest floor. So they can handle lower light pretty easily. Not the bestest for them, but they can deal with it. So yeah, I'm a big banana fan. And then another thing, one more thing. If we go to their houseplant section, and this is a great company. I love them, but we've got more companies to look at too. They have, so underneath their houseplant section, something that I found entertaining was this black bat flower. So these are gorgeous. These are stunning plants. They are, again, they're prone to bugs and things like that, but they have an interesting smell. Some people like it, some people don't like it. It kind of depends, but they are beautiful. Here's a good example of that flower. They have beautiful flowers. And so it's one of those things that like not a lot of houseplants flower. And this is one that you can bring in and it's a stunner. It's a stunner, right? Like, look at that flower. That's just beautiful. So anyway, so that's Wellspring Gardens. I definitely recommend them. I have ordered from them on multiple occasions. I always have a great experience. And this is the place. It's one of the places to go for sure. Sometimes they have other things too. It's just about, you know, what's up, what time of year and things like that. Let's take a look at their carnivorous section. Yeah. Okay. So these, like a lot of like the pitcher plants, these are probably yeah. Okay. That's, I don't know. I mean, I'd look around, maybe not the best price on that, but again, you know, time of year, things like that. But it's really, really, oh, that's a good price. This is a good price on this one. If you're into pitcher plants and you like these variegated pitchers, that's a good way to go. And again, yeah, this would have to be shipped with a heat thing. Like that's probably why it's expensive, or more on the expensive side. And $24 isn't that bad, but they'd have to do stuff. If you're somebody who has fungus gnats / fruit flies that are a problem, get you some spoonflower sundews. Get you some sundews. That's what they eat, and they will love. And those little gnat things are just attracted to it. Like it's their crack. It's great. Anyway, so check them out, Wellspring Gardens. I definitely give them all the thumbs up and recommend. They are fantastic. Next company I want to talk to you about is a very small mom and pop kind of situation. I actually found them in a Facebook group for buyers and sellers of rare plants, buyers, sellers, and traders of rare plants. And I have gotten several unicorn plants from them, and they were like my dirty little secret for a couple of years. Like when I was selling plants, like they were my dirty little secret. And I would get my mother plants from them, and then that's how it would all start. So you can find some really cool stuff from them, and they have a Facebook group that you can join. It's the same. It's Rough Plants. And it's cool because they will do purges. So like, and it definitely through the summer, like they're all the time, but right now they're probably not doing a bunch of them. I haven't actually checked in a couple months probably, but they do really cool purges, and they will sell like variegated gloriosums for 65 bucks. Like it's insane stuff that just you would not see anywhere else. So, and they have a greenhouse, they have the stuff, it's a mom and pop situation. So it's really good vendors from that perspective. So check out their Facebook group. But their plants that I saw earlier on today, as I was looking, are good prices. So let's take a look, shall we? So again, this is called Ralph Plants. You can go to ralphplants.com. Highly recommend them. So their gloriosums always come great. I've gotten 2 gloriosums from them, and I'd given them away because they just got too big. But very healthy gloriosums. They pick, and they don't give you like crappy plants. Like they pick. So this is the Dean McDowell. So this is a massive plant. This is probably one that's just 2 years old, maybe. They get huge. I had a was it a Dean McDowell? I don't know. I had a Pastazanum. So a Pastazanum and a Dean McDowell are very similar. They probably have a Pastazanum that we'll see in a second. Huge, massive jungle leaves. But it's a crawler, so you have to have space for it to crawl. And if you don't, then you're gonna start to lose size and things like that. But they handled outdoor dry conditions a lot better than I was expecting, and they were great indoors. The only problem was spider mites. So because they do have that kind of leaf quality, so that's a problem. But if you can keep them sprayed like with bug stuff or taking bug treatments, they are incredible. Really flashy, showy plant that one will go a long way, and they grow very quickly. So you can propagate these very quickly as well. That's something to also consider, especially if you're like looking at a plant price and you have any idea of like, oh, I might want to cut, or sell cuttings or something one day. That matters. Like what type of plant you're getting will matter for that sort of thing. Not all plants are ready to go with propagation and things like that, but these guys certainly are, and they very quickly propagated. So highly recommend that. Let's see. They have a unicorn section. I want to go through their unicorn section. Where'd it go? Unicorns. Here we go. All right. So here's a really great example of the pink princess, which we had seen earlier. And it had the one that we'd seen earlier just had these on Steve Leaves' website, just had these small little tiny marks of variegation. This has much better variegation. This is one that, okay. For what we're looking at, that price of $125 is not bad, actually. And that's a pretty good size leaf. So this isn't a small plant. This is going to be like in a 6-inch. Yeah, this is in a 6-inch pot. And you've got, you end up kind of paying per leaf, basically is really, think of it like that, essentially. And so it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 leaves, 7 leaves. And there's the guy's thumb. So you can kind of see like, in comparison, he's like me. He's got big man hands, but look at that variegation. That's just freaking and gorgeous. And again, the more light that it gets, the darker it will go. And so really incredible. But anything that's called like marble specifically is marble because it has this sort of speckled stuff going on. It doesn't look necessarily marbled, but that's what we call it, is marbled. So yeah, that's a really great example. And I think $125 for that is pretty decent. Here's another example. It looks like a smaller one for sure. But yeah, so just how beautiful. I think, honestly, literally, anytime I see a plant that has pink leaves, I just freak out a little. Okay. Ooh. Okay. So let me tell you why this is a really freaking cool plant. So you've got the Monstera aurea, Borzigiana. The Borzigiana is the one that we want. And there's a couple of different varieties of the big leaf Swiss cheese looking Monsteras. And some of them, not all of them, grow to be the size that a Borzigiana can go. Okay. Or the Deliciosa. If you can get a variegated Deliciosa, keep that, because that will get massive. The Borzigiana will get big. They don't get like as big as the Deliciosa. But the Borzigiana still get pretty big, and they have really beautiful veining that happens in the leaves. And then there's the Marmota, and the Marmota, it looks a lot like the big leaf monsteras. It has the exact same leaf shape, but they are smaller, and they're probably not going to get bigger than your head, right? But they're going to still have that monkey mask shape and feel to them. They're just not going to get that big. So if you want a big monstera, you actually want to go for the Deliciosa. And unfortunately, they're not all labeled Deliciosa, not all of them that are labeled Deliciosa are Deliciosa. And I can't tell you how to really tell the difference when they're babies. I wish I could. But it's one of those things that, like, if you notice them starting to putter out when it comes to how big the leaves get, like if they just kind of stop getting bigger, that might be a good indicator that you have a Borsigiana or you don't have a Deliciosa if you think of a Deliciosa. Basically, the ones that were sold in like Lowe's before 2019, 2018, those were mostly the Deliciosas. And then as soon as houseplants took off, these other varieties came in, and people just got confused, and it became a whole thing. So especially in the private plant market, people don't seem to know the difference between them. So, and that's kind of a sad thing. But if you're looking for a true, beautiful, see right here, it says Borsigiana small form. So that's something to keep in mind. You'll get gorgeous leaves, but they won't go nuts. I have an Aurea Deliciosa, and I am just in love with it. Okay, so the Aurea means golden. That's what that means. So it's golden variegation. So we saw this lime greeny variegation here, and really, what that's about, that will turn to this creamy color here, and it'll be really pretty. I love those colors. And then, this is a good variegated Epiprimnum amplissimum. And these are known for these long ginger-like leaves, which are really pretty. And they are thicker than ginger leaves, but they remind me a lot of ginger. But that striping is just so unique. It's incredible. At $20 is not a bad price for that at all. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I would say all of these unicorn prices are pretty decent. Let's go to their featured section. Okay. So yeah, so it looks like they're probably low in stock right now compared to where they are at and they're in Texas. So as long as they're not getting crazy storms, they should be fine. But here's a really fun one: pipers. So pipers are peppers, like pepper as in like black pepper, like you get in your mill. And so this is a variety of that essentially. And I don't know about if you can eat the peppers that come off of the peppercorns from this one, but they're in the same family. And tell me that isn't one of the sexiest leaves you've ever seen in your life. I had to grow them in a big terrarium, and then eventually I couldn't keep the humidity right, and it just killed them. They don't travel super well. I would get them from this company, but I wouldn't get it online from eBay or any of that. I'd be really careful with the pipers, especially the crocotum. Gorgeous plant, beautiful plant. However, doesn't like to travel. Let's see here. So here's that Chanterarrii, which we had talked about earlier. Here's a bigger version of it. So you can see how bushy these beautiful plants get. Let's see. So $30. Oh my goodness. Look how big that plant is. $30. Just great prices. Great prices. This is a really fun one. This is the Alocasia Platinum. And they get very big, like very, very big. And they have these silver dusty sage colored leaves. Like talk about a conversation starter. $35. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And look how big you'll get this plant. I have seen a couple of these in PetSmart of all places. Our local PetSmart has like a home living plant, kind of like little tiny kiosk kind of a display. And I've seen these there. They weren't in great shape, but I've seen them there. I've seen a lot of plastic knockoffs of these this year, which I'm not surprised about. And I have seen, I think at like my local Raley's, they had like one, which was kind of surprising. So you can find like a lot of greenhouses and nurseries. They have them. They just only release them at certain times of the year. So there's that. We will get into anthuriums another day. We will talk about syngoniums another day, because oh my goodness, there is so much. Here's an alocasia Ivory Coast. This is a super fun one. If you want to get into alocasia that are on the hard to find, they're not really rare, and they're not even so much hard to find. They used to be harder to find. These are pretty easy to get these days, but you're not going to probably walk into a Home Depot and find them. But this is the Ivory Coast, and they get this beautiful. They remind me, this leaf shape reminds me of a police badge, like the that kind of shape. And so I gifted my friend who had who was a police officer husband. I mean, I gifted her that. Because I was just, that energy feels like you could use it, but these are beautiful, and they grow really, really well outside, and low to the ground, and it's good stuff. You got to keep them moist, but they're fantastic. You can grow these in your house with very little problem. So I had mentioned whale fins last episode. This is a Sansevieria whale fin. This is a tiny, teeny, little itty baby. This little plant, this is like what, probably a 4-inch pot, will turn into something that can literally get as like tall up as my torso and head combined, and even as like thick. Like, these things can get amazing. And the thing with Sansevieria's snake plants, if you can get them and you can just keep them going, like, they will provide so much life for you over a long period of time. They aren't the fastest growers. They have growing seasons, whereas like the philodendrons and the colocaceas we were talking about, they have growing seasons too, but you can kind of trick them into continuing to put leaves out even over the winter. Whereas with like Sansevierias, they know. They're smart. They know. Like right now, ours are putting off, they're starting to put off new shoots and things like that, which is fantastic. But once it's over for the year, and it'll be another cycle before we get new offshoots. The only thing about these that I would say sucks is they don't recover from damage quickly. So you will get, if you even though those leaves are really thick and they're very hard, and I mean, like, the top will poke you. Like, it's a very hardy leaf, but once it like snaps in half or anything like that, it won't just heal itself off. You'll have a scar. And it's amazing that they can survive with some of the things they can survive, but they get a little aesthetically little less pleasing that way. But still quite beautiful. And imagine that color, but just huge and in your face. And it's just like you're staring into the ocean. It's amazing. Okay, let's do one more. We'll do Rhaphidophorus another time. Rhaphidophorus look a lot like philodendrons. Okay, so so they have a pretty decent selection right now. I would say that in about 3 months, they will have an incredible selection. So if you are a plant person and you're wanting to like get some unicorn plants and you don't want to pay a whole arm and a leg for it, keep Ralph plants in mind. Okay. I've gotten several my unicorn plants. In fact, one of the philodendrons I was going to show you, but I didn't bring it down, and I need to water things and then hose them down and get them ready, and I didn't have time to do that today. But I'm going to show you the philodendron orange marmalade, which is one of my favorite philodendrons, and I got it from these beautiful people. And it was another hard to find. It was a unicorn at the time. It's not so much unicorn nowadays, but at the time it certainly was. So Ralph plants, really great. Highly, highly recommend. All right. So let me just take a break. Let's tune in. I want to see how everyone's doing. Are you guys enjoying the plant talk? Because that's a thing. Okay. I really totally appreciate all of your love. Okay. So before we move on, let's switch back. So before we move on to talking about, because there's some fun yarn stuff I want to talk about. But before we get into that, I thought we'd take a minute and we'd go through my mail. We'd go through the stuff that just came in today. And I'm really excited. Again, I know I'm just so excitable, I guess. I don't know. But I'm excited about some of these books that are coming out. And one of the things that I asked specifically is I want debut titles, and I want like from debut authors, because debut authors have such a hard time getting the word out about their material and about their projects. And in addition, nobody knows who they are. Like, it's not really hard to just get it out there and get in somebody's face if you don't have name recognition, but nobody knows who you are. So it's hard to get on shows. It's hard to spread the word in general. And so it's got to give love to those debut authors. That first book is really hard in general. And then you think you're going to get, a bunch of support, and it's not there, and it sucks. So I am trying very, very hard this year to try to focus more on debut authors and things like that. So I have a lot of new stuff coming in. And yeah, so that's something that I know Llewellyn and Weiser both are on the lookout for me. And they're going to be sending me stuff. I can tell you that the first full week of March, I've got Marcus Ironwood coming on. He is one of the reps from Llewellyn, and he's going to be talking to us about their spring catalog. And then the week after that, I have Sam McNamara. I hope I said her name right. And I love Sam. Sam and I used to hang out. Sam is the rep for Weiser. And Sam and I used to hang out at conferences a lot. So even though I was a Llewellyn author, I would end up in the Weiser suite, and I would just hang out with the Weiser people because I love Weiser people. They're all great. But yeah, so Sam and I became friends that way. And then we'd go to trade conferences, and it just became a thing. So I love Sam, and Sam's going to come on and we're going to hear all about the Weiser spring catalog. So hello. So that's going to be really fun. So yeah. So the first thing I want to share with you, I'm really excited about this. This is an advanced arc. So this is not completely edited yet. This is just what they send out to reviewers. And this is like a historical kind of book. And I'm not usually into them, especially when it's like talks about the descendant of Salem or any of that kind of stuff. But this is legit. So I'm looking forward to this and to see, especially with like the political climate and stuff, like witch hunt, like, okay, all right, I'll give it a shot. So this is coming out, I think, next month. It comes out in May. So this will be out in May. And I am looking forward to getting my brain into this and seeing where it takes me. But if you are into witchcraft, history and biography stuff, this is probably one you check out. It's a new title. And again, it'll be out in May. Not surprised at all to see this. This is Scorpio Witch by Ivo Dominguez Jr. and who was this? And Zoe Howe. I hope I said the name right. So Matt wrote, he was the co-author for Pisces Witch. And as much as I love that cover, and I think my partner's great and everything, there's this cover for Scorpio Witch, which I think actually should win for the best cover so far out of the whole series because it's the sexiest. Ben Stimson and I were talking about this in the stream the other night, in his stream. But yeah, this gets like beautiful. It's just gorgeous. So I'm looking for. I have to tell you, I am not like usually a fan of these small book series. Like, I'm like, is it a money grab? It's a money grab, isn't it? And I'm kind of that guy. These aren't that. This is not that. This is like a real thing. So this is good. Evo is mostly known for his spirit stuff, right? He's known for spirit for all of the spirit stuff. Like he's up there with he's like the medium guy, right? He's really good at astrology. He's kind of incredible at astrology, and a lot of people don't know this. So to get a book from him, it would be amazing. To get 12 is like incredible. So there's Scorpio Witch, and again, this is the cover. Freaking sexy, so freaking sexy. Also, see they have that color, that kind of burgundy accent all throughout, and it's gorgeous. So this whole series is really good. And I'm surprised. So like when I had my shop, this is one of those things people would come in all the time asking. Like everybody loves astrology, right? For the most part. And there wasn't really anything like this for people who wanted to know about, because your astrology is a fantastic gateway into witchcraft. And there was no link there. And now we have links for that. And that's fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to this. I'm not a Scorpio. I'm still going to read it because I have a lot of Scorpio in my chart. So I'm excited about that. But so definitely want to check that out. And again, I think it should get the sexiest cover. Yeah. The next thing that came in is going to be a bigger thing to unfold, and this is the B Tarot. So Matt was super hella excited about this. Like, he was foaming at the mouth waiting for this one. And so when it came in, he like grabbed it and he went right through it, and he's just super in love. And I was like, okay, it reminds me of, like, from a distance. I was like, oh, because our friend Jamie Sawyer has an oracle, like a Lenormand thing that's like out of bees. And I was like, oh, it's like that. It's not. This is, first of all, gorgeous. Like, the packaging for these boxes, they're sturdy. They are colorful. You open it up, you've got here's the booklet, right? And that fits perfectly into your box. Like, it's very well thought out. The packaging is very well thought out. The art is gorgeous. Do that. So that's the cover for the book. Now, here's the thing. Full color. All the way through. What? Full color and glossy pages. Yeah. So it's a thing. These little booklets are such a big thing for me, because when I was a kid, we didn't get no booklets. You got this little tiny pamphlet, and it was like an eighth of a page of like an 11 by 18 like page, and they were stapled, and it was it. Like, there was no good definitions. There was no, like, the artist wasn't talking to you, like, none of it. This kind of stuff fixes that. And if you are a tarot person, if you're a tarot reader, and you get a new deck, and like, you're like, oh, well, it's like the Rider-Waite, so I don't have to. Technically true. Technically, yes. Right. It is inspired by the Rider-Waite or the Thoth or whatever. And so the same rules apply. Technically, sure. However, when somebody goes to create a deck, they're like tuning into a certain frequency. They're tapping. It is its own act of magic itself. So if you don't take the advantage, like, to look through those books that come in your tarot decks, like, you are doing yourself a great disservice. You are taking a good third of, like, the intention behind that magical working, and you're just ignoring it. Don't be that person. Look at these books, go through, make sure that, like, you understand what the intention was with the creator and with the artist, right? But keep that in mind. But this is freaking gorgeous. This is just gorgeous, and I'm really looking forward to it. Matt got to play with it, and I'll have to ask him if he got to do a reading. I guess I'll see the cards here in a second. I don't know if they're shuffled, but yeah. Oh, okay. So that's the other thing. All right. So that's what the cards look like when they're in the box. And then you've got your little flappy bit here. There we go. Okay. And then that's isn't it pretty? Just the packaging is so pretty. Okay. So, nope, they're not shuffled. Okay. So, really beautiful. So here's the Magician. See? Okay. That's the full. I think the full card is always like a big deal. And then let me find, the Emperor. That's cool. You know, I'm very into bees right now, apparently. These are gorgeous. The card stock is better than, I think, some of the, and I love Llewellyn, they're my publisher, but there were some decks that were coming out that were not great with card stock, and I feel like this is better card stock than what some of the other decks have been recently. And you know, really, again, Matt is the person. Matt is my tarot aficionado in the house, and so he'd be the one to really talk about card stock. But here's his Justice, and it's a bee sting. How cool is that? Okay, so these are cool. I'm into it. Let's find the World card. Ooh, the Tower. Ooh, the Tower. Ooh. Lightning striking a beehive. Ooh. Oh. Yeah, this is cool. All right, let's find the Wheel of Fortune. Okay. Oh, the World card. There you go. That's good. Not what I was expecting for the World card. And then instead of Wheel of Fortune, it looks like it has, what is that, Rebirth? Star, Moon. Moon's interesting. Okay. I'm here for it. Yeah, Rebirth. Okay. I'm here for it. These are gorgeous, and I could absolutely see myself reading with them like this summer. 100%. Actually, I could bring these. I could see myself bringing these to a conference or a festival and reading with them. And I feel like the cardstock is of the texture and of the material that it wouldn't screw up my cards. Ooh, 3 of Swords. Are you ready? Ooh, are you ready? Oh, wow. Yeah. I like when tarot decks don't shy away from gruesome, but don't like make it perverted gruesome either. Like, I think you can go a little too far with it sometimes. And then sometimes I feel like by not showing the harder side of what the card is talking about, you're just kind of screwing the meaning and the intention up. Let me see. Let me find a good one. Another one. Okay, so here's a good example of the aces. So there's scenes. So, okay. All right. I'm here for it. I think this is creative. I think, again, you know, we don't want to just rely on what we know about Rider-Waite and just apply it to every deck necessarily. And I think this is one that you'd actually have to look at and study a little bit as far as like what the meanings and the intentions were. So I'm excited about that. I know Matt I'm pretty 99% sure Matt has a review coming out with it. So once he plays with it and gets like more of an actual, he's in a better review spot, look out for that, and we'll make sure to share that. But this looks really fun, and I'm excited about this. He, like I said, he was really excited about it coming in. He was kind of, you know, very excited for a very long time. I remember him bringing it up a few times. All right, okay. Next one we haven't opened yet, and this is the Oracle of the Hecatian Path, and this is by Ken Payne and Chris Butler. And I feel like I know those names, but I can't recall in my head the details. But let's open it up. So, and it starts with the Ashke Katashke Iran Orion Eor Mega Semner Bawe Fabancha Samne. All right, nice. Let me see if I still have my retail nails enough to open it up real quick. Ooh. So I know that, you know, if you are a witch, you probably have come across something about Hecate at some point in time. And if you are a gay witch, you most certainly have come up with something with Hecate, because she was like the go-to for gay witch boys for like ever. And so I'm sure we all know who Hecate is. Ooh. Okay, so it's got that regular kind of standard box top. Ooh, little booklet. Feels pretty standard. It's got a couple different languages. Nice. Scarborough. Keep that in mind. I don't know your feelings on Scarborough, but Scarborough. Let's see here. Just going to go through a couple. All right. So just look at that art. Okay, so card number 1 is Origins. Card number 2 is Nurturing, and we've got, so it looks like they're like statue cutouts of Hecate, of like different versions of the goddess that could be Hecate, because I don't think these are all Hecate statues necessarily. Could be, yeah, there's Medusa. So I think there's things that are in alignment with it. I will do a reading with this, and I will see. I can tell you that I am not always a fan of the Photoshop stuff in cards. I like not always digital arts. I think digital art is a hard thing to sell in cards sometimes, and it really depends on what type of art. Like Jen Sankey's deck that just came out, the Starkeeper. I can't remember. Jen, what's your deck called? My brain's farting. That is good art. Like, that is beautiful. That doesn't look like a computer struggled with it, or a human being struggled with a computer. This kind of has that vibe. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to read with it, but I'm just gonna say this would have to be like something you'd have to be a Hecate person to really get into this. I think. I don't think this would necessarily grab, but we'll see. So I'm gonna do a reading. I might be surprised. I'm not poo-pooing it. These are just my first thoughts. Here. Okay, I like that. Yeah. Okay, so they're different. They're different epithets of Hecate. I just got that. I probably should have read the book before I started talking. So they're different names for Hecate. They're her different faces, and so you're going through it and you're working with the different faces of Hecate. That's more interesting to me. So okay. That's pretty. So see, I don't know. I think it just depends on the card. Ooh. Nice. Okay. So let's see. There are 60 cards total. And here's the Holy Daemon. Nice. So I'm not opposed to these. I think I need to do a reading with them. I think I need to read the book that comes with them, and then I can give you like an informed opinion, or Matt will when he gets to it, if he gets to it. But this is interesting. So I would say this would be one that I would definitely recommend to Hecate people, because I can totally see all of the things are there. Okay. But I don't know that I would have picked these up off the shelf if I was shopping for them just for the sake of shopping for a new deck of cards. So we'll put it that way. So I feel like this is probably like a tool you go seek out. So, okay. So that's my mail. That's what came in and this week. And so, again, that's all from Llewellyn. And we've got stuff coming in from Wiser and some other companies. Secrets. I have secrets. But we have some other things coming in to definitely check out. And I will try to just keep you up to date on the review copies and things that we do get in. And we'll go through hauls as the hauls come in. So, there's that. But I think it's a really interesting idea. Like the Hecate cards, I think that's a really interesting idea. I do wish I had something like that when I was really into Hecate, like hardcore, because I think that probably would definitely daily devotional stuff would have been a lot easier. So I'm excited. I'm going to play with it, and I think it's time to go visit Hecate anyway. It's been a minute, so I'm going to go do it. So I'm going to use those cards. I'll report back. I'm excited about the B cards that actually might be the deck I read with this summer. I like to flip things out. I really like that deck. The Once and Future Witch Hunt is interesting. I love historical stuff, but it's like I like a documentary. You know what I mean? Like I will sit down and I will watch all the documentaries all the day is long. Reading history is difficult for me as somebody with, maybe it's my ADHD. It also could just be it's hard to read history stuff sometimes. You got to be into it, right? So yeah, so I'm going to read it. I'm going to check it out and I'll report back. But I think it'll be a good shift from my usual book selection. So I'm definitely going to give it a shot. And then what was the other one? Oh, and then Scorpio Witch, which again should get sexiest cover title for that whole series. And that's no offense to my beautiful partner, Matt, who he was the co-author for Pisces Witch, but Scorpio Witch, I think that's the sexiest cover. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Okay. So, I guess we are, time flies when I'm with you guys. I love that. I love that time goes by so quickly. And I love that you guys are so talkative. I love you. Thank you for being talkative in the chat rooms. It's very great. Okay. So I do want to talk a little bit more about yarn stuff. And that is because tends to be like where my head is at these days. And so if you're not here for that, I'm so sorry. But there of course there's this incredible company out there called Arcane Fiberworks, and they are, when I started like looking for nicer materials to work with in my fibercraft, and I was done with the cheap stuff like we talked about last episode. And I went through some of the fancy yarn that I had gotten with the Noro and the Malabrigo. So I started working with different people and just kind of like getting samples of stuff, but also just asking around, like, who are the companies out there? Because I know there are witches who are spinning. I know, like, spinning fibers. I know there are witches that are dying. I know this stuff happens because I see their ads, right? I see stuff pop up. So I went on a whole mission to look for all of the companies that have like witchy stuff related to them, or are, in the fiber world that embrace the occult. Because if you might not have noticed, but we kind of think of like people who knit as like little church grannies. And so I just always worry, like, do us weirdos have like a space somewhere? So I've been like on the lookout for fellow weirdos who are creatives and designers and things like that. And I found a couple of them. So I'm definitely trying to like get them to come on and talk. But at the very least, follow my socials, especially Insta, because I'll be sharing as much of their stuff as I can. So if you're into it, like, follow me on Insta and I will give you I will share everything that comes through. Because there are some really great makers. And again, it's just like being a writer. It's hard to get your stuff out there. So if we can support the community, let's freaking support the community, right? And so, yeah, so one of the companies, and I don't know, I haven't gotten a comfort, like, I don't know that they're witches or anything like that, but all of their materials really sure do seem to line up pretty nicely. And they do seem to be very popular in the world of the fiber arts and in the occultists. So like all my occulty friends really like this company, and they were the ones that recommended it. So I started going through, and I thought we might go looking at Arcane Fiberworks together. And if you've been following me online, you've been seeing me post about them because they're just freaking gorgeous. But let's go ahead and bring it back up. Okay, so this is Arcane Fiberworks, and again, they're just amazing. These colorways are stunning. I just bought this yesterday because it came out, and I was like, oh, to me, this looks like fluorite. So when I see this colorway, those are the colors of the fluorite stone to me. So I had this like instant vision of like this beautiful fluorite shawl that's like geometric and got a whole thing going. So I ordered it, and it'll be my first official order from them. But I've been like obsessed about this company and looking at them for months and months and months. And I haven't ordered. I made something for somebody that was made out of one of their products. Was really impressed. And so I put an order in, so we'll see. But so I've got this coming in I believe it's a DK, and the plan is to do a shawl. And I got a couple of solids, semi-solids that have the colors that like are in it. Cause this is just, I mean, beautiful. Like that really, to me, that is fluorite. That looks like a fluorite stone. So I have to make a fluorite shawl. So that's happening. So I ordered that, but while I was there and I'm looking around, there are a couple of other things that really stuck out, and I have to tell you. There's a colorway in here called, what is it, Foggy Forest, and it just takes my breath away. But anyway, this company seems really cool. They have really good yarn. It's very good colors. I'm excited to get my first order from them, and we'll do an unboxing when it comes in. There were a couple of things that just stuck out to me, and I thought, hey, I want to share this with people, like this pretty in pink. So I do love my pink plants, right? There's something about this colorway that it's got like the hot pinks and the grays and the softed muted pinks, and it's just stunning. I probably would never wear this for me, but I kind of want to make something in it and give it to somebody. So that's got to happen. And then what was I want to show you. Yeah, I'm really just impressed. So this was stunning. So I like so the skeins look beautiful, right? Like this is a gorgeous skein. However, things don't usually look as good once they're no longer in skein form. Like once it's out of that twist and you ball it up, it doesn't quite look fantastic always. However, look at this workup of this colorway. There's something about the dusty green with the gray that is like giving me feels. I want socks out of this, or like a vest or something. It just has that, like, it's beautiful. Anyway, one more. I want to show you this Foggy Forest maybe two more, because here's the Orange Oriole. This is like Halloween vibes, but it's one of their permanent colors. But gorgeous. So like that definitely needs to be something I feel like I have to create with this colorway. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's on my list of when I order from them again, I will be getting that. Where are you, Foggy Forest? I want to show my friends how beautiful you are. Where'd you go? Oh, that's fun too. Trick or treat. Okay. I'm just going to load up a couple tabs here. There's a colorway that reminded me of my friend Michelle. I don't know if Michelle's still in chat. I can't see the chat room, but my friend Michelle is here. There's a colorway that reminded me of her. And I know that she does not yarn, or she doesn't do anything yarn, and that's fine. But it makes me want to buy it and make it for her because it just reminded me of her. Where are you? Foggy Forest. You're playing hard to get. There it is. Okay. So this just is the most beautiful thing. I am amazed by these colors. I love that deep emerald. Emerald green is like always a hit for me. Like it doesn't matter if it's an emerald green, I am there for it. I want it on me, around me. Like I want to ooze emerald green energy. Like I am here for it. I would totally live in the Emerald City. This is what it looks like when it's worked up. So this really needs to be a sweater. I added this to my order. I've been looking at, this is really the colorway that I kept coming back to over and over and over again over months.
I'm just in love with it. So I ordered it. I ordered 2 skeins. It's not enough to like make a sweater out of, but I do feel like it should be enough to make like a thin kind of shawl or scarf. And I thought, well, that might be a fun thing to have for the summer, for those summer nights. And, you know, again, we're traveling and, you know, so it's nice to have things to wrap up and cover up with. So I think that'll be really fun and beautiful. And I think I have that in a DK weight. It might've been the worst of it. I'm pretty sure it's a DK, but just stunning. It just takes my breath away. So there's that. Okay. The next one, it was Trick or Treat. Again, Halloween vibes, obviously, right? And this might be on its way out soon, and which, you know, once it's gone, it's gone. But the black is more like consistent, and so that's pretty cool. Like those lines tend to be bigger. Anyway, so very into that. Again, I wouldn't wear it necessarily for me, but I'd make it and give it to somebody. Okay, so this one reminded me of my friend Michelle, and it's called Take Me to Church, and it is this beautiful like gray with this green and then splashes of pink, and this is what it looks like when it's worked up. It's just stunning. And I don't know if pink is, I would assume she is a pink aura. So I would imagine her like her color. I imagine she'd be okay with pink, but I know she likes green, and I've seen her in grays and those kind of nice solid colors. So I don't know. I literally think I'm going to have to buy this just so I can make something out of it and then give it to my friend. Because, you know, sometimes you see stuff and it just reminds you of people that you love, right? And so this is one of those instances, and I was like, So again, I don't know how long this stuff will be around. So it's one of those things where it says it's got unlimited stock, but then if we go to, again, this is really pretty, Take Me to Church. If we go to their last chance, there are things that I know, like this is most of it's Christmas stuff, but there are things that I'm like, oh, like the elegance, like this is really, I wish, I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt for not just ordering this because it's almost gone. Storm, my partner, loves peacocks. We all know this. And the thing that's so hard about peacock feather, like for me, I'm such a color person, and it's annoying because I know that like it's such a big part of my ADHD is like colors and how colors look. And like, I get really obsessed when I design stuff. So, this is one of those of colorways. It's really impressive because it has the gold. So you've got this kind of emeraldy green kind of thing going on. You've got that cobalty blue, and then you've actually got that gold, and that is so hard to find. And it's not metallic, and that's fine. It doesn't need to be. I think metallic yarn's annoying, but that is pretty. So I wish I would have gotten this, if only because I'm kicking myself in the butt. Because I know I could have worked it into something for Storm, and it has that very particular color that we were looking for, which is that gold. So I wish I would have gotten it. It just wasn't in the. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have just gotten it. Anyway, really pretty. If you are interested, get it now before it's gone. And all they have left is worsted. So there's that. Anyway, so there's that. I would definitely take a look at that. The other thing that I loved, and then I'll shut up about yarn, is this street side. This was a freaking gorgeous colorway. Look at the way this works out. So it's got that like grayish blue, and it's like a gray navy kind of like thing going on, and then it fades to that like pops of yellow, and it looks like street lights. Like that's just freaking gorgeous. So anyway, I'm in love with this company. I just ordered from them. That is not a paid partnership or anything like that. I just love them. I mean, hey, if they want to do so, cool. But no, I just really like the company, and I ordered from them, so I thought I'd share that. Okay, so that's enough of that. Let's go back to where we are. All right, so I am excited for Convocation, which is next week. Matt and I are leaving on Wednesday. And I love to travel with him because he's actually pretty easy to travel with. And we just put our headphones on and we just go on our, it's really easy. Of course, I'm going to be crocheting the whole time because there are things to make. And one of the reasons why I was saying I'm excited about this yarn stuff is that we have getting prepared to do the dragon scale protection blanket. So if you are a crocheter, or if you're a knitter and you want to crochet, but you're like, I don't want to take anything hard on, this is a wonderful, wonderful project to get started on. It's easy. There are like 3 basic stitches that you got to know how to do. You can find those on YouTube really quickly. You can teach yourself in a night. It's not that difficult, I promise. I'm going to do videos where I walk everyone through the process of making each of the pieces. And so like you're going to have lots of help and lots of support. There's also this great community of people who have signed up and who are going to be participating. And I figured out my colors, like actually figured out the colors and the design. So I will be talking about that next week. And I will share more about that in particular. I am going with the Noro for sure. So I've got some really gorgeous Noro colorways. And I am going to make it a weighted blanket by using stones. My only problem is that the labradorite, because my theme was labradorite, as I picked my colors, it didn't turn out that way. That's okay. Because it's Noro, it's Noro, you have like so much weird control and not control over what the colors look like, but whatever. I'm still excited about it. I think it's going to be freaking gorgeous. But what I'm going to end up doing is, and I'll show you this next week, but I took for like the scale and I put a chevron on top of the scale where I can embed that stone. The problem I have is that the stones I have are either too like small or they're big. And so I'm worried about stress on the stitch and, all of that kind of stuff. So I don't know, stuff to think about. I will have a prototype or at least part of the blanket done, enough to share in a couple of weeks, but I will share the intro stuff and all about it in the beginning part of next week. And then after that, we are going to be hitting the ground running with it and then just getting working. And then I'll do a midway video talking about how we just seam it all together. And then we'll do our rehash of everything, a review of it all at the end, which will be super fun. So we've got a couple months to make the blanket. It's not like a rush. It's definitely let's hang out. We're going to schedule some times where we just do some stitch and bitch, which will be great. If you're part of the Facebook group, come join us. We're going to have a lot of fun. And then so many, oh my goodness. And then we've got, there's lots of stitch projects that are, I'm just saying, there's lots of stitch projects that are coming. I'm finalizing one of them. I am designing patterns. It is happening. And I will release those patterns and once we get going towards that. So it'll be my first pattern that I'm doing. I'm very excited. So if you're a pattern tester, come find me. I would love to talk to you. But yeah, so we've got some really fun things that are coming along down the pipeline for that. We've got collabs. So one of the things I was talking about on Facebook today was that this is my year of secret projects. I've been working on a lot of different things for about a year now, and I've been doing it as quietly as possible. My partners know, and that's like it, and whoever I'm working with in particular. But I've even asked people, please don't talk about this publicly yet. Please, let's just get as far along with the process as we can before we announce it. Partly because I can tell you that the minute I put anything out, I announce that I'm working on something, I get this flood of positive energy, but I also feel all the jealousy and all the weird shit. And I just don't want it. So it's just easier if I just don't say anything until it's time and then be like, hey, it's better for my sanity if I do that. And that's a thing. That is definitely a thing. People get a little weird sometimes about your success, and I just don't want it tainted. So I'm being very careful about my projects this year and when I drop them. But I can tell you that there are 2 very big audio projects that I'm working on right now. And I can tell you that there is a book project that I'm working on right now. I can tell you there are products, collaborations that I'm working on right now with some beautiful, wonderful companies. And it's just going to be a year of modern witch crazy releases nonstop. I've got a book coming out. Matt has a book coming out this year. It's a big year of releases and drops and community for us, which we're really excited about. So with all that going on, definitely make sure that you're a part of the Facebook group. I got links in the description below. Make sure that you are, if you're not already doing the book club, right now we're reading Real Sorcery by Jason Miller. And it is amazing to see the feedback in the comments that are coming from the people who are reading this book with us. It is so cool to go through and see people having those epiphanies and sharing, their stories. It's cool to see people talk about things that they thought they had preconceived notions, and then, oh no, I actually think this now. All of this is super cool. So we're having a blast, and it's a low key, it's our low key, low pressure. It's not a super intense book club. We're doing a couple chapters a week. There's a study guide that Matt put out, and it's just fun. We're having a fun time reading and talking and dishing. And again, we'll have Jason coming on at the end of the month to do a session with us, and it's just going to be phenomenal. And then next month we've got Psychic Witch by Matt Oren, and it's the first time Matt's done anything like this, where he is working with a group of people himself as the author and going through the material. It's the first time ever. And so, yeah, like we've got a lot of really cool stuff. And then there's going to be the Houseplant Horticulture book club. And I think I'm debating on making this like a separate, I don't know. Well, let me know what you think. If you're a book club person, if you want to read Houseplant Horticulture for the book club, if not, we could do it as a separate thing. Cause I realize it's kind of niche in a good way, but like, I don't know, it compared to some of the other titles we're reading. Of course, this just might be me being insecure for some reason. Spirits are saying I'm being insecure and I should just do it. So we're going to do it. Anyway, so yeah, so it's going to be fun. There's going to be a lot of really cool stuff this year. We are going to Convocation. So Matt and I are traveling to Michigan next week. If you are going to be at Convocation, come say hello. I will have a couple of goodies, and once they're gone, they're gone. But I will have some goodies for people who are our followers and for people who do support us. When we see you out in the world, it brings us joy, like so much freaking joy. So I will always have a little something, something. So come say hi, come let us know who you are. We'd love to meet you. And maybe you might walk away with something. I don't know. But at the very least, come say hi, because I want to get to know you better. And we love meeting people who read our stuff and who listen to our podcasts and all of that crazy stuff. So yes, please come say hello. Aside from that, there is the official Witches Sabbath, which is happening now. Or not happening now, but which the tickets are on sale for now. And we also have Horticulture, which is happening, and those are happening on the same weekend. They're different days. It's a whole thing we talked about last time. So definitely come check out. Tickets are available everywhere, or not everywhere, but they're on the website. And I think that's basically it. We were supposed to talk about stress management, magically speaking. We didn't do that. Maybe we'll do that on Tuesday. So that's one thing. There will be a change, but because I am traveling next week, I will not be doing the live stream on Thursday. Instead, we are going to be doing it on Tuesday. So we'll do Modern Witch Living on Tuesday of this week coming up, and I hope that you can still join me for that. And we'll have more fun time, and hopefully I'll have some fun stuff to show you, some fun makes to show you. Yeah. Okay. I'm saying a lot, so I think that's a sign that I need to get off here and go work on making dinner. So I love everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for spending 2 hours of your evening with me. I really cannot. I don't know why you do it, but I'm glad you do. I'll just leave it at that. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you spend time with me. I'm glad that you're investing in your spirituality and thinking about, ways of bringing things in. And even though we don't necessarily talk about much of magic all the time, that's okay, because you're a witch, so you're magic all the time. Remember that. Okay. Bye, everybody. I will see you on Tuesday. And if not before then, I will definitely see you on the internet. So come say hello, and we'll have a good time. All right. Bye, everybody.